Ladies and gentlemen, this is CR-Volcanic or Connor, and we're coming up on the end of an era here, boys and girls. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, title updates 5.5, title update 6, bonus update 5, whatever the hell we're calling it. It's coming out, and for myself in the States, it is coming out tonight. As we go eastward, we're probably getting into tomorrow morning or really late for some of you guys over on the other side of the world. It's a bittersweet moment. It's a special moment. It is the end of a phenomenal game. It is the end of a phenomenal generation. The generation that decided to see how far we could push Monster Hunter to break new grounds, to tread new horizons, and to really try to make Monster Hunter a household name, which it has succeeded in doing. And that era is coming to an end, to, most would assume, lead to an even brighter future afterwards. But in this moment, at this end, it's bittersweet, and it's a bit sad, but it's a happy occasion too. So, this bonus update, we're calling it a bonus update. Realistically speaking, I think this is bigger than title update 1 of Iceborne. The Rajang update, I think this is more sizable than that, which is wild to think about. So, Primordial Malzino is the final monster of the 5th generation, the final monster of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Flat out looks phenomenal. The gold, the silver, and blue color scheme looks great. Unless I'm just looking at it at a weird angle, it looks a little bit physically different than the core Malzino, which is really interesting. I really like it when variations have some physical model differences and aren't just a palette swap. I really appreciate those. Makes it even more distinct. This one looks a little bit bulkier. It has like more armor on the wings. It looks not quite as sleek, not quite as sharp. A little bit more knight-like. I think the facial structure looked a little bit different. He looks really good, and his armor looks just flat out phenomenal. Gorgeous armor. I cannot wait to make that. I was a little surprised that he's going to be an MR10 monster. I was kind of expecting Master Rank 200 after Risen Shigaru was 180, but that's fine. Amatsu was rank 10 as well. What I was a little scared about, and what I'm really glad they didn't do, is they didn't make him an anomaly rank unlock, which has sequestered the anomaly investigations as their own chunk of endgame, and the meat and potatoes content, most people, the casual audience, are more interested just kind of like in the new monsters. So I was a little nervous that he was going to be anomaly related because he's the culmination of that set of investigations, but he isn't, and that was the right choice to make, so I'm very happy about that. They didn't really allude to what he does or how powerful he is. They didn't show really any of the fight, which is another thing I think was a good call. Let's just have us go in totally blind. Hopefully we get curb stomped. Malzino's a great monster, not the hardest monster. It's rare for me to get a feint from him, but I am more than happy with an absolutely brutal version of him. So I am expecting and anticipating that quite a bit. Curious Crafting is getting another update. Very expected. This one is focused mostly on just the acquisition of more slots. This was easily expected. This is one that I'm probably going to be using a lot, honestly. I think just going for raw empty slots instead of playing the skill mismatch game for an hour is honestly, it's what I go for anyway, so I'm gonna be appreciative to have that. Paid DLC is just out of there. There's no new ones, no new sets of layered weapons, no new sets of stickers or poses or gestures or anything like that, which is great. I would be willing to bet that if the backlash didn't happen, that title update 5 probably would have gotten a 3rd layered weapons pack. And I am proud of this community that we were able to chase that away. And hopefully the developers, not even the developers, but the executives learned their lesson with that one. We'll see. And I anticipate that if something like that tries to sneak its way into 6, we'll take up arms again. And it's good that we do. It's good for the industry that we do. And that's the bulk of what's coming in the title update. Not a ton, only one new monster, bonus to the crafting system. Oh, right, there's new event quests. Not too sure what they are. Looks like Magnamalo Malzino Dual Threat and a Velkhana in the Forlorn Arena. Whether or not that's a hazard, not sure. I'd love to get a new batch of hazards, maybe 2 or 3. I'm still kind of rooting for a hazard Geismagorm. I think he deserves to have a much more powerful form. Fantastic final boss, unfortunately not too difficult. And the hazard quests, I think, are one of the low-key successes of Sunbreak. A couple new bits of layered armor. We got a new Frontier set coming out. The buff bodies are getting buffer. There's like a blindfold. There was a really cool Malzino, like, earring, earpiece looking thing that looks kind of neat. So some cool stuff. And we're going to be riding that out until July 27th. Probably July 26th over here in the States. And that's the end. That is the last fumes of the generation. So about another month and a half of content, which is awesome, and I'm hoping we get some good stuff out of it. It's already looking like some good event quests. This back half of Sunbreak has redeemed the Rise Sunbreak event quests a bit. You know, the damage has already been done, but better late than never, at the very least. Other than that, there was a developer roundtable, which was cool to watch. Pretty revealing. You know, not the most informative thing ever, not the biggest deep dive. I wasn't really expecting a documentary out of this, but I'd imagine that, you know, as time goes by and as Rise and Sunbreak are in the rearview mirror, we'll probably get more and more information out of it. This is kind of just what they can talk about now while the game is still going. But it was cool stuff. It was cool to see the differences between Ichinose and Suzuki in their body language, how they talked about their games. Ichinose seeming to be a little bit more kind of on the serious end, a little bit more reserved. Suzuki being this dude who just kind of threw everything at the wall and wanted to just stuff Sunbreak with as much stuff as possible. And he did a pretty bang up job with it. Sunbreak is a very packed game with a lot of good stuff in it. These two, Rise and Sunbreak, were not perfect. I think the 5th generation still has throughout had a lot of growing pains as it is expanding on the very, very tight and well-defined 4th generation and bringing Monster Hunter into a new frontier. It was cool to learn how they were kind of pushing boundaries at Capcom and kind of running the risk of being yelled at with how much they shared on social media. I think these two and what they provided to social media, the concept art for some of the monsters, especially like the really cartoony looks at some of the yokai inspiration, a lot of like the little baby mini teases that they did really added a lot. There was just kind of like this secondary level of anticipation that was coming out of just the social media posts. Their own little mini narrative there, the fun they had teasing us there was really, really cool, and just added to the experience and added to the anticipation. I hope that continues. I think what they did on social media to promote this game was a lot of fun, and using it as a tool to give off little extra tidbits of stuff that we're not going to be getting in YouTube trailers and whatnot was a lot of fun. To kind of hear them talk about listening to fan feedback. You know, they didn't give into a lot of specifics. They mostly just talked about a lot of the positive feedback, but I would assume it's implied that they listened to a lot of the criticisms that these games got. Because Rise and Sunbreak aren't perfect, certainly not, and deserve some criticism, and it's good that we have developers that are humble enough to listen to us and willing to listen to us and really you get the impression from listening to these guys that they really, really want to deliver a game that we're gonna love, and that's great. And we're fortunate most of the time for Capcom being a publisher that usually lets their developers really kind of stretch their wings and give them the proper time and let them create really, really good stuff. Capcom ain't perfect. Hopefully they don't try to sneak too much monetization stuff into whatever 6 is gonna be. I think they've also learned that our community is gonna bark at them if they try to get a little bit too invasive. Hopefully that lesson remains learned, and we're just all happy and 6 makes money hand over fist for them. It was interesting when Suzuki brought up the introduction of Espinasse. What a massive reaction that got. And, you know, it doesn't really confirm anything, but with Frontier proper gone and the wave of reaction that Espinasse got, I think that's a good sign for the future of Frontier's content. I think they know that this is a regional Monster Hunter that is gradually becoming more accepted, that this is a regional Monster Hunter that a lot of us want to see. I think this bodes well. That little bit of reaction bodes well. Other than that, it was just really nice to see their enthusiasm for the project, to hear them reminisce about it a little bit. Again, probably in a very controlled setting, but they seemed very, very proud of what they created, and they should be. At the very end there, seeing all the stats fly by, the most hunted monsters, the weapon usage percentiles, amount of wire bugs we picked up, and the amount of music played, the amount of times we, rode on the Palamutes and all that stuff. it was just fun to see. All the quests gone on and all of the likes offered and everything, all of the players who played, all of that, all those stats was just heartwarming. And the music playing in the background and the flashes of all these different screenshots and pictures that all of these different players gave to the community. Really heartwarming stuff. And it added to the bittersweetness of this. It's sad to see the 5th generation go. This was a really important generation for myself, a really important generation for Monster Hunter, for our community. Rise and Sunbreak is the ground floor of my career here on YouTube and in content creation, and I'm very excited to see where 6 is going to take me, where I am, where that gets announced, where I am as we go through that. I'm very, very excited for the future of this channel, for the future of this franchise. And I'm very excited for the future of just Monster Hunter in my friend group. So it's a great time and it's a sad time. We have a lot of Sunbreak still to go, and we have a lot of time before the next game comes out. Probably not till earlier on next year. Ryozo Sugimoto did blatantly call out the fact that next year's the 20th anniversary, and he said they were working on more stuff. Not surprising. I think the anniversary is going to be special, and we're lining up really, really well for Monster Hunter 6 to come out right on top of that anniversary. I think next year's going to be very special and something to look forward to. But that's stuff to talk about in the future, more as we go further on. As for now, Title Update 6, 5.5, whatever, is coming on out. It looks awesome. I cannot wait to fight Primordial Malzino. I cannot wait to make that armor. I'm hoping for some good new hazards. We still got a good chunk of game left to play, so don't be too sad yet. All you out there, enjoy the title update. Have a great day. Be good people. Yada, yada, yada. All that crap. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Another job well done. Looking at the sky, dawn is here and bids farewell tonight. Clouds make way for sunny skies. Sunlight seeping through and lightens up the way. The face of my dearest one lights up a million smiles and says the place to be is here. Though I'm still only halfway
Good job.
there, you are here.
Good job. Well done. Good job. Good job. Well done. Good job.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
My thanks.
Happy hunting!